Well, hello, people. Welcome to the new interview series that I'm doing, and I'm picking some of my absolute very favorite people to start off with. We were graced with Prepping by Faith, and now we're having VanCity Prepper. And I was talking with Toolman Tim last night, and we were talking about these little enclaves or these little bubbles of just fantastic, phenomenal groups that support each other internally to those groups. But we also have these connection points. So I was introduced to Toolman Tim by both Apartment Prepper and LG, and so he wanted me to interview on his channel. The more we can expand these small groups of people into large groups of people, the better off we're going to be because we're going to find people who are local. And the other issue is, I think we all need to know a little bit about a lot of things and then a lot about one or two things. And so the way that we're going to get through this together is by finding other people who are experts in areas that we are nowhere close to. So, one of those areas that I am scared of is tectonic activity. And so I had to have my favorite geologist on, VanCity Prepper. So, VanCity, if you would do me a favor and just tell our group about yourself a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much again for having me on. I really enjoyed prepping by Faith last week and getting to learn more about her channel and see you guys chat. I hear a bit of an echo. Can other people hear that echo? I don't know. Can you hear it?
You're not here.
Nope. Okay. So basically, part of a channel that's been on YouTube for about a year. There's two of us on this channel. And in terms of my background, Lori's saying there is an echo, and Snarfino is saying it as well. Do you have an extra screen on by chance?
Nope. But let me
YouTube?
just check and get out of everything else.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Prepping by Faith, Uncle Al, LG, good to see you. And
No,
Butch
I
is
don't have
here.
anything else on at all.
All right. Neither do I. I don't hear it anymore, so that's good. So myself, I was a licensed paramedic for a while. I worked 3,600 hours doing that, and then I'm also an exploration geological scientist. That I started this work in the early 2000s, and now I'm not out and about doing that as much, but it is what I spent the bulk of my adult life doing. And a lot of that involved making maps in northern Canada and in the United States, traveling to other places like Australia and New Zealand to do work in different places, like mapping caves or looking at volcanoes. Or I did work on like the Big Island of Hawaii, for example,
Wow.
and things like that. And then so on our channel, there's two people. The other half of the channel is a professional helicopter pilot. He fights fires, he does utility operations like put up power lines, and does high altitude human rescue, like pulling people out of crevasses on big mountains like Mount Abitablam, Mount Everest, stuff like that. And he comes from a large scale livestock and arable farming background. So he grew up in England and worked on the big cattle stations in Australia. So that's sort of the other person on the channel. So we do have some older videos about we're doing some different things in England and looking after the sheep and stuff like that. So on our channel, we try to show frontline work related to emergency services. And I like to try to explain natural hazards from a preparedness perspective. And then with some of that stuff, there's only so much we can show on YouTube. So there's like little tiny snippets. There could be like a medivac, but you just see the person's feet or something like that. But just a little glimpse into that. We are based in northern British Columbia, Canada, in the high 50s latitude off the Alaska Highway at our bug out homestead.
So you get to see a lot of darkness in winter.
Yeah. So this morning I was out for a walk at 8 or 8 something, and it was pitch black, like fully pitch black.
So two things. Number one, you did a short very recently of the helicopter flying in the Himalayas, and that was just totally awesome. So I recommend everybody see that. Look for her video of the helicopter in the Himalayas. But the second one is you're also a licensed EMT, or were a licensed EMT, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so sorry, I've got a water pump sound. It'll be over quickly. I'm in this pantry. So basically, yeah, I throughout my map making life, I needed to know more about backcountry medic stuff to treat myself or others when we were stuck out there. And so I did get that license, and then I kept it for a while, and now I have it on pause. So it's because you have to have 20 patients a year and 20 credits to keep your license in the province that I'm in. And I paused it just because I was too busy. But I did have it a couple of years ago. But I'm not working in that capacity right now, so I have put it on hold.
But at least you have the knowledge, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
I feel like you
So,
really have to keep up with it. It's your responsibility to, if you're going to hold that license, you got to be on top of it.
so we all have kind of a function or a purpose. We have a reason why we're into YouTube. And what would you say that you and your husband's main purpose of your channel is?
Well, we wanted to show some stuff that was happening that we were seeing that no one else had access to. A year ago, there were these catastrophic floods that Mr. VP was working on doing emergency services and was getting these amazing aerial view that he was able to film and put that on YouTube. So we wanted to give access to something that people wouldn't normally get to see. And so that's how it started. And then I also just love talking about the geology of the natural disasters. There's such a link with preparedness. So
Uh-huh.
when time allows, I like to make those types of videos. And I also just love sharing ideas and learning from everybody in the community like yourself. So yeah, it's like going back and forth with messages almost, but they're videos, and we share and learn and get ideas from each other, and I just love being part of it.
Wow. So kind of a combination question here. Number one, what do you see as the primary threat in your area? And then does that cause you to be more of a hunker down person or a bug out type person?
Yeah, so where we're located, we would be hunkered down. So where we were 6 months ago, we would have been bug out people because we're in a more highly dense region. But where we're located now, it's very remote, and it's very cold, and it's very dark. So this morning I was out, yeah, after 8 o'clock, it was pitch black. So really going to want to stay put in most cases here. So I really think with that question, it depends on all the variables that we're always considering. And some people, maybe they have mobility issues, or maybe they have reasons why they want to stay or they want to go. We are set up to go if we had to, but I don't know where we would go because
Yeah.
we're far. I mean, we have other people, but I mean, in terms of a destination, it's going to be days to get anywhere to.
Other people would be very, very happy to bug out to where you are,
Mhm.
in, in my opinion. And I don't
We
think people are aware of the latitudes, and where we are. For example, where I am in Austin, Texas, if you go due east, you run into Cairo, Egypt. So we're the same latitude as Cairo.
Mhm.
And then New York City is the exact same latitude as Rome, Italy. So if you go up into northern reaches of Germany, you come across into the Hudson Bay, and then you're in the center of that, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and that area. So you're even above that. You would probably be in the Denmark lower portion of Stockholm, Sweden, the Finland area. If I were to equate that, probably latitudinally.
Goofy Roofy, yes, there's a bunch of maple syrup right there. So Canadian. Yes, yeah, way up there, way up there. I'd have
Wow.
to look at what equivalent places are, but I know, for example, mid Ontario is like in the 40s. So yeah,
Mm. Okay, so what got you into preparedness, and when did that happen?
I would say it really started around 2001. I had my first field job interview, which was I had to find a trail. I had to route find my way up a mountain, and my boss was behind me watching how I did it. And then my that summer ended up being a glacier mapping work, helicopter supported glacier mapping project, kind of behind Whistler, the ski area. And that, it just, everything about that is to do with preparedness. We need certain food, we need safety items, we need tents, backpacks, proper gear, because you get dropped off and that's all you, whatever you have is what you need to get through. So I'd say that's when it really started. Um, I worked in Big Bend in Texas,
Oh, one of my
and
favorite places. My gosh. My biggest sin is I grew up only 100 miles away from there, and I was 35 before I ever made it there. It's gorgeous.
yeah, it's an amazing spot. And so that, as you very well know more than I do, that has its own set of challenges. We'd have to start working at like 4 a.m. There were so many scorpions, snakes, and spiders. We had heat was an issue, it was like over the 40s Celsius. So just the preparation for each location and what it involved started this journey. And then later is like, well, you got to have that stuff at home too. And then just, interest in gear, interest in being prepared. And then, as you know, everything just keeps ramping up all the time with what's going on in the world, and not just that backcountry side of things for sure.
Yeah, I think we're having to be a little bit more well-rounded in what we consider as threats, especially in the last year or two. Let me say hello to a whole bunch of people. Snarfino, welcome. Lori, of course, you're one of my champs. Thank you for being here. LG as well. Thank you to LG and to Apartment Prepper for introducing me to Tim. That he had me on his channel last night. What a great guy. Just unbelievable. Uncle Al, thank you for modding for me and keeping everything going well. I appreciate that. Let me see who else here. Let me scroll down a little bit. Butch Graves, welcome. And of course, Prepping by Faith, welcome. Let me see. If I skip over you, it's only because I'm old and things kind of. Scott Hummer, welcome. Lisa B, hello. Welcome to you as well. And Adriana Turner, welcome. Rita Hunter, another one of our favorite regulars. Let me see here. Gosh, Thorhaven Farm. Hi, welcome. I don't recognize your name, so good to see you. Is that one of your followers there, VanCity?
Well, we're buddies. There's another Canadian. They live in a homestead in Quebec. They are the coolest people. They just had a video about toques that I saw, I got notification for, but they have Highland cows, they have beautiful gardens. They're just hilarious and funny and so much fun.
Okay, let me write
One
that
of
down.
my all-time favorite channels. They have really fun live streams, and
Okay, I'm
yeah,
writing that down. I
just
can't do it if I was a moderator. You got those three dots. You could click on them and subscribe, and I can't do that. So I've got to write that down, and I will subscribe to them as soon as this is over. Let me see here. Um, da, da, da. Goofy Roofy, I saw him last night on Toolman Tim's, and so kind of met him there. Thank you for your outstanding questions. I hope you continue to prod us here tonight. You had some really good questions, so thank you very much. Appreciate that. Sorry, I don't always have the answers, but I try. Let me see here. Okay. John Poole. John Poole. I had a major, special forces major that I worked with, John Peel, just a couple letters off. Fantastic guy. He and I went to Korea together. So that was when I was attached to a special forces group on a special mission. Partner prepper, I hope you've heard me say thank you much for the introduction to Toolman Tim. That was enjoyable. And that looks like I think we're coming up on the end of the people who are here. Sassy Gal Prepping. Oh, there you are. Welcome. Always good to see you as well. Bonnie's welcome. And I hope I haven't missed anybody. Okay, we're down at the bottom. Next question. Since 2020, have you had any significant preparedness aha moments? Like, oh, well, this I didn't have figured out, or this was,
Mhm.
aha, I need to do this for the future.
Absolutely. So last year in our province, we had the catastrophic floods, and that is part of what got the channel going because I wanted to show Steve Poplar, Poplar Preparedness, what our stores look like because he's all into that. And so I didn't know how to do it. So I actually uploaded a video just to say, hey, I have 0 subscribers, but look at this. Like this is, and not cool, but important and interesting. And so because of these floods, we had massive fuel shortages and we also had empty shelves. So because of the fuel shortages, we had the aha moment that we need to stock our own fuel at home. And we started preparing ourselves. We used the Wavian metal jerry cans, and we have 120 liters on hand all the time. Yes, it needs to be rotated. Fuel doesn't last that long, but we have aha momented ourselves up to 250 liters at any time. So we have a couple, we can get far if we have to. We can run a generator for a while. And that was really driven by the fuel shortages. So all of our gas stations, fuel stations, we were allowed, I can't now remember what we were allowed. How embarrassing. Something like 30 liters. Like we were allowed a little bit each time. And people were respectful of that. But one day, from this day to the next, it was rationing, fuel rationing in our province. So there was that. We also had our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, implement major changes to the firearm regulations in our country, which is, of course, way more modest than any place in the US, I believe. So we had to make sure that we had adequate self-defense supplies on hand.
Uh-huh.
And we also, due to the issues with this flooding and stuff, we needed to make sure that we had a lot of generator power. And just, those are all, that flooding was really a big wake up call to a lot of people.
Yeah, you and I have exchanged courtesies with each other on Popular Preparedness a couple times. I
Yeah.
really like that channel.
Yeah.
Steve I think he's a financial guru by
Hmm.
profession, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, but
Hmm.
he does really good analysis on a lot of different things. Adriana, welcome. And I've got Goofy Roofy up here. I was going to translate that. So that's about 10 to 20 gallons of gasoline that they were allowed to store or that they were storing up there in their area. Uh, and look at, and Lori says that Steve Poplar is how she got into it as well.
Oh, no way. Oh, that's so cool. And you know what? He's such a nice guy. Me and my little channel, I had him as a guest. I have a video.
Really?
Yes, I have a video where I got
Wow.
to ask him anything within, I didn't ask him anything strange, but I got to have a live chat with him. It was very fun.
So Thor Haven, you would have heard if you had been on the last night, you would have heard my little funny, and I've talked to you about this a couple times. I thought I was one of the most prepared guys there ever was because I've been doing this for like 50 years. Have solar and everything else, but the ice covered my solar system. So when with ice over, and then of course you got the overcast. There is no sun to hit the panels to produce electricity. And of course, the batteries are only good for about 3 days. So I figured, well, I'll just take my 5 kW generator out back and start it up and bring it in. But then you got to run an extension cord into the house through an open door or an open window. So I didn't have it as well thought out as I thought I should have. And we've got that fixed now. But I'm sure that VanCity has that all figured out and how they're going to take care of that. So when we had the lockdown, I think that caught some people by surprise, not most of the prepping community. How did you? How were you prepared for the lockdown? Were you?
Well, actually, we weren't all that prepared for lockdown because we were situated in downtown Vancouver at that time due to my work, and we had a baby with us. So all of the interesting preparedness supplies that we had weren't on our person. They were stored somewhere else, and it was just based on the fact it was a city, we could only have so much stuff. So we did have to adjust. We had extra
So,
prepping
so are you
supplies.
saying you had rationing at the time, or is it just you couldn't go out and get it?
Yeah, we were like right now, if we were locked down, it wouldn't affect us really
Okay,
at all. But we needed more supplies because we could only physically hold so many supplies because it was
gotcha.
in downtown in a major city, in one of Canada's major cities. So we only had so much space. We had food, put in different cupboard or like in furniture pretty much. We had stuff stored up, but just square footage wise, there wasn't a lot of room. And our lockdown was one of the more intense ones. They really did, they did, we were only allowed to buy certain things. So we just had to get out ahead of the rush.
Yeah, yeah. And so Goofy Roofy has a good comment. So one of the ways I do it is I take luggage tags like you put on your suitcases, and I have 4 or 5 gallon cans. But insurance companies get really upset if you have too much gasoline or ammunition or any other combustibles in the house. And so if your house burns down and you exceed what they say you're allowed to have, they can refuse to pay to rebuild your house. So what I do is I have the luggage tags and I put the date that was filled so that I can follow kind of the same thing that he's talking about here. What are
Mm.
your key learnings from the lockdown?
Well, being in downtown of a city, just like I said, due to the proximity of my physical office, was not where I would really want to be usually. So being away out of the city is nice if possible. Obviously, not everyone can do that. So getting out of a highly populated area was something I learned. And also thinking about anywhere with a limited access, because the where we were located next was a property, like it was space, but the challenge there was one road in, one road out.
Wow.
So there was a river that actually flooded that road, and trees, trees fall. I mean, we can cut down trees, but the whole area was only one road. So just really looking at,
I
pardon?
get this vision of ice road trucking.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just sort of thinking about that sort of stuff. And of course, we can't all just up and move, but alternate routes, like people always talk about on prepping channels, knowing your area, getting out walking. If you can't go this way, like where we are now, there's a train that if there was a train problem, I'd have to go around. Like, what is the around route? Like all that kind of stuff, and thinking about those things. So those were some learnings of really just looking at where a person is physically located and learning as much about that and alternate plans.
Wow. That's an awful lot to try to come up with because I guess you have to figure out. Now I'm going to make an assumption. You can tell me whether I'm wrong or not, but resources to you are rather. I'm going to say you're probably in a very uh, sparsely populated area even before, and so finding resources, whether that be medical or uh, groceries or fuel or anything, seem to be sparse, and you have to really plan to go acquire those. Is that far from the truth, or?
Yeah, no, that is true at this point. So we're trying to rely less on stuff other than ourselves, which is super hard to, that's hard to do in these times for everybody because we are in a society where we go get things or stuff is
Oh,
is
but I
made
am
elsewhere.
so jealous of your indoor under what basement garden. Oh gosh, I'm so happy you started showing us that, and you're going to keep us up to date on how that goes along because I'm just totally intrigued. And I'm sorry I'm taking over the screen because I'm sitting forward in my chair because I'm just so excited hearing what you have to say.
No, that's
Uh,
so great that because well, last couple winters we did that, and I just never knew anyone would want to see it. I just didn't think anyone would care. I don't mean that in like a sad way. I just mean it's so exciting that there's people that want to learn about, or not learn, but see what we're doing and share their own ideas so we can learn from them.
Oh no, I'm totally passive. I'm a learner. I'm not going to give you any ideas whatsoever. Don't feel that way. I'm learning 100% from you. So thank you very much for that. So have you modified any of your preparedness beliefs or fundamental thoughts or ideas or anything else as a result of what's happened the last couple of years?
Well, I think it's very common in the preparedness realm to talk about taking everything with a grain of salt, but I think we've all seen to such a degree that the stuff that we hear is, in the mainstream or anywhere really has to be taken with a grain of salt, and research needs to be done to verify sources and read articles. And the great channels out there like yourself will always put references or link articles, and it requires a little bit extra research. I don't know if there was a day where we could believe everything that is presented to us, but I definitely think now we can't, basically.
Well, for the longest time, I started out as thinking a nuclear war was the number one thing. Of course, that was back in the 60s and early 70s. Then, economic fall, economic collapse or whatever, and I'm just still there. And now, just all of a sudden, we've got pandemics, we've got food shortages, we've got overpopulation, we've got grid failures, we've got uh, production shortages, we've got all these, and even the possibility of a nuclear war. I mean, it's all hitting all at once, and so to try to single out one and say this is my one priority, it's getting difficult to do that. You kind of have to prepare for everything and hope that you're doing the best with what you've got. Um, so tell me what you think your greatest preparedness successes are so far.
Well, I think getting to this bug out homestead this year, it was hard. It was hard to do. It was so far that we lost a lot of stuff got broken trying to get it here, and it was a anyone who's preparedness minded who moves. I first think of apartment prepper and her video where she was going up the stairs and said, "By the way, everyone, look what I'm doing." When you're moving stuff, it's a lot of work, and so we did get to our bug out homestead, and we designed this pantry that I'm in right now. So on this side here, we built it to fit these ammo cans. It's not full of ammo, but the ammo cans are really good containers. So we made sure that it was that size. And then I'll just show you a little bit more. It's not fully organized,
Whoa,
but it's
that's the
not.
size of my house.
No, it's just a wide lens or something. So doing that was a big preparedness success for us. I think a really big part of it is just the keeping things cool and climate controlled, because where we were before is a really warm part of Canada. I know that's like an
Uh-huh.
oxymoron, but
No, 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 because you've got the
uh,
Pacific. What was it? The Pacific.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So getting that sort of sorted out was a big thing this year for us to do.
That's fantastic. Okay, so tell me about those things that you think were where you felt a little bit short, and you're going to focus on making improvements.
Well, the temperature of our it sounds kind of a boring one, but the temperature of our items that we are using for our rotational pantry has there are certain items that we have that have been through hot and cold, and I don't really know how they're going to do. So just not managing or being able to manage the temperature correctly in some of the
Oh wow,
spaces
yeah.
um, has been has been not great. I think we've kind of sorted it out now, but for a while where it was located was too hot, and then it would get too cold. So there's an entire generation of our stuff that I'm not sure about.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you there because, well, you've experienced my kind of temperatures, so
hmm
you know how that goes.
hmm
Um, so tell me your favorite or most beneficial prepping tools that you've got in your toolkit.
Well, my medical kit and my medical, I would call it room, which I will do a video of eventually. I've shown my medical kit from the outside and then talked about, I've done a few videos where, just general medical preparedness items, but I really think on YouTube, it's not a place for showing more advanced equipment that, unless if a person takes a course, they'll learn that equipment. So that's the
Yeah.
place to learn it. But I do my medical kit and my medical room. I'm really learning from people such as my mother Spark for more of the holistic or natural side to supplement because it's very much conventional medicine type of setup, and I want to get into more of the herbal and natural remedies. And then, my indoor garden, I would say, because not only is it helpful, but it's really good for the mind as well. I feel like if we were hunkering in, just having that greenery growing is very good for the spirits.
Oh yeah, I would imagine so. And I'm trying to put this all in perspective as far as my 7 years in Germany. So I can kind of imagine. There were times I'd go to work in the morning. Well, 4 months out of the year, 4 or 5 months out of the year, I'd go to work in the morning. It was dark. I'd come home in the evening. It was dark. And so I was sitting inside a cave the entire time that it was light outside, except for my 2 days off every six. And so yeah, there's certain things. I had greenery in my barracks room, just so I could have something to keep me enlightened.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Absolutely essential. One of the things I hear you saying, but I'm going to make an assumption. It sounds like you've got kind of a semi sick room that you're establishing as far as being able to care for somebody either ill or injured that you're setting up in your home.
Yeah, and I'm just fully expecting at any point we will be home and not able to go anywhere. And one of the things that I believe wasn't it you and Sarge talking about waste management?
Yes.
So things like, okay, if someone's sick, of course, ideally we get to medical help, but if that's not possible, they're going to need to go to the washroom. What if there are biohazards that have spilled? So, or even just things like urine has spilled, that there's that powder that will clump it up. The portable toilets. If somebody doesn't have a lot of mobility, portable toilet, that whole system, which I believe you covered already, is helpful to have ahead of time.
Yeah, and then you've got all kinds of infected bodily fluids that are coming out that you want to keep away from other people too. So that's yeah. Gosh, I'm so envious. You've got it figured out. Thank you. Um, so what one prepping skill? And for you, I'm going to guess it's probably your medical knowledge. What's your best prepping skill?
I would say it's the mental part and mental fortitude and just being able to face sick people. I actually have a cough. I'm going to need a moment, if you don't
Sure,
mind.
no
Maybe
problem.
you can talk to the chat for a second.
Yeah, let me get back up here, and it looks like Goofy Ruffy is asking something up here or talking about something everybody's responding to. Uh, Heavy duty totes instead of 5-gallon buckets. Uh, they're cheaper per gallon of storage. Okay. Humidity in Southeast Texas. I'm in Central Texas, so it can be a problem. It's a problem today. We've had uh, light rain for the last 2 days, and so it's very humid here right now. Uh, it wasn't a problem at all when I lived in El Paso. I mean, it only rains 2 days a year in El Paso, July 4th and Memorial Day, or I'm sorry, Labor Day, whatever day that happens to be. So Okay, so we kind of talked about all the threats that are going on in your priorities. So we've kind of talked about that. So here's one. Here's one that's kind of tough. Tell me about your funniest prepping story.
Well, this is okay, so all these talk about bug out weekends and things like that and people wanting to test their gear. And so I don't know how funny I mean, it's funny because we weren't very smart, and so I find it funny because we survived. But we got a ride on with a helicopter with someone I worked with to a place near Revelstoke, BC, and then we just decided we were going to hike back to our vehicle. So we left the vehicle on a dirt road somewhere. Then we got a ride out to helipad, flew in, got dropped off, my friend and I, with our maps, compass, backpacks, and we just had to get out. So we looked at the map with the contour lines, and there was the long way or the short way with the close contour lines. So we decided we'd take the short way. And it was funny. I mean, you had to be there, but we were standing. It was very mountainous, very intense terrain. The wind came and took the. I mean, this is took the map, and it started blowing. My friend grabbed it,
Wow.
didn't blow away. I mean, of course, we had backup, but it was just the omen of what the rest of it was going to be like. So we got to this pretty steep part that we had to climb down. My friend decided she's going to take off her backpack and lower it down, and she dropped her backpack, and it ragged all down and got stuck next to a crevasse. So we had to go down and like get her backpack, and then when we got to the area where the contour lines were quite close together, we were lowering ourselves down on branches. We were climbing across logs.
So is this
We
on
were
belay or on rappel?
no, just
No. Okay.
ourselves. Yep. And I have another cough. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So for those of you who aren't experienced in map reading, when she's talking about the contour lines are very close together. So every time, most maps have a 10-meter or 30-foot difference between contour lines. So when they're far apart, that's a very gradual increase in elevation from one contour line to the other. When they're very close together, as she's talking about, that means that you're going up very steep inclines or down very steep inclines. So, if you're using a contour map, the closer the lines are together, the steeper the incline that you're going into, or the steeper it's going to go down. So you don't want to see your contour lines get too close together. You want to see them pretty far apart. That's going to be the most convenient for you. And I got to plug in power. I'm on battery mode, so I got to plug in my power cord. There we go. Okay.
Sorry about that. I don't want to ruin your live stream. I don't know what's happening to me here. But yeah, we thought we were pretty experienced. We thought it was no big deal, and that's what happened. And I'm so sorry, Lee. I have to cough.
No, you're fine. I've me too. Me too. I have an upper respiratory infection, so go tomorrow and get some more shots and some more pills, and well, I'll be fine. Um, yeah, gay, that's very true. Here in Central Texas, we've got rain and cold, and when you've got the biting wind, and it's blowing those cold rain molecules or droplets against you, that's where it gets kind of depressing. And it's right at that point to where even the slow function on your windshield wiper is too much, and so it's just coming down. You're smearing it on the windshield instead of wiping it off. That's where we are right now, as far as what's going on here in Central Texas. But I understand it's supposed to be clearing up here in the near future, as long as it doesn't rain or ice again. I mean, ice again or snow again. I'm happy. So I was just telling people, VanCity, that I've got an upper respiratory infection. You've got yours. I've got sniffles. So I've got all kinds of tissues here. So You look like you're about ready to cry, and
Oh,
I
I am
can.
so sorry.
No,
I'm
no,
enjoying
I
talking to you so much. I luckily I have a medical room, so I just grabbed something there and everything's good. But yeah, so we hiked out. We got to the vehicle. It was very humbling. It was difficult, but it was funny how we were so silly and took the shortcut. And the terrain was very difficult. There was a lot of Devil's Club, which is really spiky. And yeah, but I mean, it is really good to practice with your preps. And if you hike, use your gear, try camping, that sort of thing. And also, we didn't have our radios didn't communicate. We thought we would be able to be in touch with the people that we left and tell them that we were fine, but we were out of range. So all
Well,
those little
and
things.
also that if the contour lines were close together and you're going
Yeah.
down crevasses and everything else, then chances of a VHF system, which is line of sight, being able to have any kind of line of sight with another VHF is slim to none. So yeah, I was explaining to him while you were gone that when you're out doing things like that, it may look like it's closer when if you
Yeah.
draw as a crow flies on a map, but you want to avoid areas where the contour lines are very close together, because
Hmm.
that usually indicates steepness in comparison to where I'm one of those guys that prefer to have the contour lines very, very far
Yeah.
apart, and that's going to be, that's old man capable is what I call it.
I
And
think it's just smart.
okay, so let me see. Okay, so that was basically it. Does anybody here have any questions they'd like to ask of VanCity? And if not, then what we might do is we might just let her make the decision whether she wants to continue or she wants to take care of herself physically, because I know she's not feeling that well, and she's been so gracious in keeping her obligation, even though she doesn't feel well. So we'll give you about 1 minute to see if there's anybody has any questions, and if not, we'll let her go and take care of herself. How's that?
I am so glad to be here though. I really I really am. And of course, it was fine until I start talking.
Yeah, I know that's always the case. You always feel good until it starts, and then all of a sudden everything shows up. So, so my prepper journey says, make sure you always know how to use your equipment before SHTF. Don't wait until the last minute. Absolutely true. Try everything now, while you have the opportunity to do it. And also, the other thing is, if you need another part to make it work, now is the time to get that extra part before everybody else finds out that they need the same part to make their equipment work. So, and if you need extra fuel, get that extra fuel now, all those different things. So very, very wise recommendation there, my prepper journey. Um, so anyhow, now let's get into something you have a little bit of knowledge about, and it's kind of concerning to me. But it seems as if there's an awful lot of tectonic uh, activity going on. There's been a lot of sixes happening along the Pacific Rim down into uh, the Pacific Oceanic Plate down around Tonga. I think Tonga had a 7.1. Indonesia had a 6.5 today. They've had some 6.5s off the Fukushima draw. That's creeping up into the Aleutian Islands area.
Mhm.
And then we've seen some really unusual 3 2s and up to 4s in the some New Madrid fault line area.
Mhm.
We just had a 4 something in West Texas, and they think that may be because of drilling and everything, and just
Mhm.
things catching. But to me, it looked like it was directly south of Carlsbad Caverns, and I know that's a very long underground cavern. What do you think's going on around the world? Is it normal? Are we having some solar activity that's influencing the Earth and tectonic activity, or what do you think's going on?
I think a lot of it is fairly normal. The thing is, there's a lot better recording going on, right? So there's a lot more
Isn't that the
instruments,
truth?
and so it sometimes appears that there's more activity. The thing is small activity on a lot of these plates um, it's not a bad thing, right? Because when there's no activity, there's a lot of strain building up that needs to be released. So little bits and pieces can make actually a good thing. But it does seem like there's quite a bit, and I think the jury is still out as to why that's happening.
Yeah, it's better off to have a whole bunch of threes than to have a couple sevens. So I can understand that. And so you're not worried about that at all in your
Not
professional.
really.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, Lee. I'm starting to cough
Okay,
again.
well, let me tell you what.
Excuse
Let's
me.
go ahead and give you an opportunity to take care of yourself physically. And thank you for being here. And don't worry, I wholeheartedly understand. And just get yourself well. And you know what? Next time we're just going to have fun. We aren't going to have any questions about serious stuff or anything else, and we'll just take care. And because I really want to get you to know you a lot better. Okay. So
Well, I
thank.
really appreciate being here, and honestly, I didn't feel like this before, else I wouldn't have taken your time this way. But I do appreciate every person who has stopped by in the chat.
Yeah, yeah, and make sure everybody sends her best wishes for getting well. And we'll just go ahead and call it quits and let you take care of yourself and get well. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank
remember,
you.
people, we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. Follow VanCity Prepper because she is one of my favorites. And I'm going to start this regularly every Monday night. We're going to do some sort of an interview with somebody. I believe coming up here in the near future, we have Toolman Tim. We have
Ooh.
we're going to be doing an interview of the roaming prepper. We're going to do one of Texas Redleg. So we've got, I want to get apartment prepper and a couple others up here and chat with them. So we're going to start just having a conversation with different people every Monday night. So thank you for being among the first and let me get my feet wet and learn how to do this. And gosh, I hope you get well.
I will.
Okay.
And one more thing about us, our channel is going to be undergoing a name change. So please stay tuned for the reveal of our name change, but we're not going anywhere.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So make sure you follow her right now. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.